You can take this video as serious as you want to take it. You can take this incredibly serious. You can take it not very serious. Whether I'm being one end or the other end, it's up to you. I generally believe that High School Musical 2 is one of the greatest films of all time. And this is a fact. You cannot argue me on this point. That it's definitely the greatest movie sequel of all time. And this is how you take a great film and you up the ante. You make it better, bigger budget, bigger, like everything. And then even like when you rewatch this masterpiece, like you see how like they would just be like sowing seeds for High School Musical 3. And like this whole thing of like being an adolescent or a teenager and then like having to face your adulthood and having to face life after high school, which is what High School Musical 3 is all about. But High School Musical 2 is just like, it's sowing the seeds. And you know what? High School Musical resonates with me so deeply, especially as like an ethnic minority. So watching something from young that like explores that dilemma of like, you know, the older generation, or like there's this expectation for you to do this thing and, you know, go this particular route, which will, in some ways, it's like seen as this surefire way to success, a surefire way to wealth, a surefire way to kind of liberate yourself from poverty, whatever. But then the dilemma that comes in when you are like more creatively or musically gifted and you feel inclined to explore career in that. So to see something that explores this from young, it was just incredibly affirming. And I think High School Musical 2 captures this the best because it's outside of the like East High setting and outside of the high school environment, and it's in the working world. Like for me, again, when I watched this film, a lot of their experiences at Palm Springs, at the resort, it mirrors the experiences of a lot of teenagers and a lot of like young adults who are dying for cash, and they have to do like very similar things to do like agency work or like retail. Like they have to do things in order to survive, or even just to exist and to be able to have like those experiences of your youth. And it brings to life the way from when you're very young, how your identities intersect with your privilege and in many ways capitalism. Like one of the greatest moments of cinematic juxtaposition in this film is starting the film with "What time is it?" Anyway, over. This song is about like, you know, we're free from school, like summer, it's gonna be lit, like. But then you have to face the reality of actually, I want my summer to be, but one, I have to think about the future. Like in the film, there's this looming threat of like college and how you're going to pay for college and scholarships and all this sort of stuff. But then also the present, the fact that fun costs. And in order to go out and enjoy yourself, like, I think in this film they're like 15, 16, 17, whatever. So they're going through that phase where like their parents they're probably becoming a bit more financially independent. And then there's even a bit with Troy's car and it's broken down and it's like,
seriously guys, this summer I gotta make bank. My parents keep talking about how much college is gonna cost.
Yeah, my folks are gonna match whatever I make, but I gotta get hired first.
Me too. I'm saving up for a car. So I can take that little hottie on a proper date.
If you want that stuff done, if you want to go out and have an amazing summer, the summer that they're singing about, what time is it? It costs. And it takes money. And you need money. And that's why they end up in a situation where they're overworked, they're underpaid, and disenfranchised. And that's why, like, you have, you know, Work It Out, which is like, work this out, which is like this, which is this cool for like, in some ways, it's like a protest song. Like, they understand that the material conditions aren't good. Them working conditions aren't good. And then like you have Troy as like this, he's very much like the leader. Like he's able to rally them and like encourage them. But one thing that this film, this film gives one of the most realistic and beautiful portrayals of how privilege can like corrupt and erode like really good, good people. Like Troy is a good person. Like we've seen in High School Musical 1, like he's a good person. But in many ways, Troy is representative of like American white male privilege. He's good looking, physically and creatively gifted. And I mean, his privilege doesn't like negate his personal struggles that like the film also does explore. But film is how you reconcile privilege with your desire for community and how privilege like messes that up. And like, again, this is why High School Musical is again a cinematic masterpiece, because it's not lost on me like the big song where he's like having to reconcile his privilege and his emotions with it. The vocal performance and production emulates Justin Timberlake, someone who's also benefited from white privilege and to the detriment of those around him. But yeah, Troy's white privilege and desirability has acquired him like this immense privilege and opportunity engineered by Sharpay and her family. And that's not privileges that are afforded to the other characters in the film who are smarter, show more physical aptitude than Troy, musically are also more talented. Like, do you get what I mean? And even with like Sharpay's kind of predatory behavior towards Troy, it's not lost on me that Sharpay is so insistent and like she finds Troy so desirable that she ignores the constant attention she gets from Zeke. And again, it goes to show like it's this whole thing of like privilege informs your worldview, it informs your desires, and informs your taste. And Sharpay, again, Troy and Sharpay, they are the two characters in this film who are like having to like confront their privileges a lot. And like I just think like, who's doing that in a Disney Channel original movie? Who's doing that? And so honestly, like this whole like discussion of like privilege, High School Musical would eclipse Citizen Kane as what's considered like the greatest film of all time, if it just went a bit more deeper into these themes. Do you get what I mean? And like it's mainly like for me like it's with Chad, because I think like Chad also plays like a central role in like this like discussion and this like dissection of privilege, because it was Troy having access to those like to the mentorship with like from the basketball players, the black basketball players, and Chad kind of being shunned away from that opportunity. Like that doesn't sit well. That didn't sit well with me. And again, I think it's a sign of like, again, like Troy's privilege enabling to him to do things that like his other like friends and like schoolmates aren't able to do. And that's the reality of the working world. Like it's something that like these kids are gonna have to get used to, or they're gonna have to like be part of that change. Do you get what I mean? Like, oh. And it's also the black men ignoring an opportunity to mentor and include other black boys, because obviously like I'm making this up, but like that choice to be a bit of a coon, like it shows how like class and the privilege that comes with it, like sometimes it actually trumps race and the identity that can be found within blackness, and how you can end up becoming an agent of classism and white privilege without realizing. Like, and Chad actually is deeply affected by this, and which he expresses to Troy. But then Troy is like in this like lull of privilege. Like when you like, again, I get it. When you have your first taste of privilege and like of wealth and like the upper echelons of society, and like everything like he starts off as a worker and then like suddenly everything's being catered to him. It feels nice. Like it's nice. It's a nice feeling. But then when that results in like everyone else around you having like such a crap experience, like it's not okay. So again, like Troy, he assumes his white privilege, co-opting in the oppression of his friends and his schoolmates. Like what's so beautiful is even like with this plot going on, do you get what I mean? The film still chooses to stress on the need for community amongst the oppressed and the marginalized. And that's why Chad, again, he's like an important, he is an important character in this film and in this franchise. Because even like, I don't think like, I think screen time wise, but like what he represents when you really sit with this film, because like in the film, he's expressing this discomfort with being in community with the marginalized, like, and like I guess it's explored through like dance and stuff and like the music thing. But as a black character, and this is what I think is really important to like remember, is Chad likely has like very harmful notions of traditional masculinity, which is a form of gendered violence towards black men from the white hegemony. I can't believe I'm talking about High School Musical in this way. You know, like let's laugh, let's kiki, like let's have fun. You know, in I Don't Dance, Chad has to face like he also has to like come into like there's just this, the film is just like having these characters just go through like such beautiful character arcs. Do you get what I mean? Despite his like black masculinity being like perceived as like this masculine, the most masculine of masculines, he is also marginalized because of this. So in order to survive the capitalistic pressures of Palm Springs and the disenfranchisement from having the opportunity that Troy's kind of having taken away from him, or he has not been able to access that opportunity, he must also find community and exist and align with non-heteronormative forms of expression, such as like dance. And at least I Don't Dance is about, you know, non-heteronormative expression and liberation in movement. At least. At most, it's quite homoerotic in some ways. Like why did their clothes switch? Why did the clothes switch? And especially because Ryan was coded as a gay character. Again, it's just added more depth to this like and again, like, so like in community, there is liberation, a liberation that privilege doesn't offer. And Troy slowly realizes that. And again, like this film has a great use of cinematic like parallels. I don't know the right, but it just does things that's like, and it wants the audience to like, this is what Marx was talking about. This is, I don't even know how to say it, conscientization, conscientization. And this is evident with the different versions of You Are the Music in Me in the film, and how they all highlight the importance of community and connection. The first performance of You Are the Music in Me before Troy's detour into privilege shows this, like, you know, it's this beautiful moment. Like they're all finding liberation, even though they're like, you know, swamped with work and they're just like, you know, finding it really difficult. Like they find joy in music and being together. And then like you have that sharpay pop rock version, which really kind of bastardizes the themes of the music, showing the invasive way of privilege and showing the invasive way I'm having a hoot. Honestly, I'm having a hoot. Showing the invasive way privilege, and the privilege that can be quite predatory from Sharpay, and how it takes Troy and Sharpay away from meaningful community. The reprise at the end highlights the film's takeaway point. Privilege will rob you from community, love, and happiness beyond the material. A theme High School Musical is constantly exploring. You can do what society expects of you. You can do what your parents expect of you. And you can find great success in that. I'm sure you can. But is it worth it? Like, is it worth it when there's something that you can find that could be so like freeing and make you so happy? Like theater, like musical theater in this case, or like sport, or just anything, cooking, dancing, like, Disney, you ate. You ate. And that's the question. What's more important, material success or happiness and joy? And Sharpay, even the most privileged of them all, like the most privileged person in this film in some sense, also has to learn that for herself, you know, by the end of the film. And then like even that's paid off in that High School Musical 3 with her decision not to go to college. High School Musical 2, like if this is like the stuff that they wanted children to think about and like learn from young, like I think that's honestly such a beautiful message. And I hope that all the people that like have grown up with High School Musical 2 and even the other films, like even 15 years on, like you can look and you can actually reflect and take to heart like the things that they're saying. Like in a world like where everything just wants to be dark, everything wants to be dark and like just not really lead us to any like positivity or hope or like actual positive ways of thinking or motivation. Like Disney did that. Like again, they did that. And again, I could be joking. This could be satire. This could be a great satire sketch. No, it's not. It's not satire. I'm being serious. Like, just liberation. Like I love that. And I really hope that 15 years on, I like the way I said that earlier, but like 15 years on, we can still reflect, learn, and grow from the lessons of High School Musical 2. Yeah.